then we can go into, I'll let people in as they arrive, but I just wanted to give you all a big mahalo for making this presentation possible today. And I'm just really excited for the topics that we're going to be covering for this evening. We usually start our HBC meetings with a community talk story and sharing session and any presenters at the beginnings of our meeting. But we also start with just taking a few breaths together and with a Hanu I Loko inhale and Hanu I Waho exhale, and just think about, the mission of the HANA Business Council, which exists to support business endeavors, create business and employment opportunities with the special culture and traditions of aloha for the health and welfare of our East Maui area. So with that, Hanu I Loko, inhale, Hanu I Waho, Hanu I Loko, Hanu I Waho, Hanu I Loko, and mahalo, everybody. So we'll jump right in, and I think it would be great to get an introduction. We're going to start with this broadband infrastructure and access conversation and just do a quick overview, starting with the letter writing campaign and the free computer classes at the HANA Library. So Mark just entered in to the meeting, and what I'd like to do is then we can start with Bill. We have on our HANA Maui website a broadband committee page. And Bill, do you want to go ahead and just give us an update?
Well, as I've been involved a lot with broadband Hui, and also, we've been running the HANA broadband committee over here in HANA, and their priority is to kind of get everybody hooked up, and mine is more like for community consumer advocate kind of a position. And so we've had issues with spectrum in the past. And one of the things is that being isolated over here, there's not a high priority to maintenance the equipment or because they get the funding to eConnect and RDOF and that to put in the lines, the cables, but there's no incentive after that necessarily for them to maintain the cables. And what I've been trying to do to make that better priority for the companies to come over and keep their broadband working is to try and make it where both on the local and the federal level, where that if the service is out for any length of time, I think Spectrum has 4 hours, they give a credit for the whole day. And the way it is right now, if an individual in HANA loses their connection and they want to claim the credit for their lost service, they have to call in and generally tell them when it went out and when it came back on, and request credit off of their account. And every individual in HANA has to do that when the company knows that everybody's out, because we're all run through a microwave dish. So my objective is to try and require that for Spectrum as part of the franchise agreement. And the franchise agreement is only for television, but I'd like to see it include broadband or internet as well. And on the federal level, I did contact Senator Schatz, and he said he would bring up the issue, so he recognized the need for that. But basically, you shouldn't be paying for a service you're not receiving. And that's all we're asking, is that we only pay for what we receive. And in that way, we get it gives them incentive for these companies to come over and get the lines back up and running as soon as possible. And I would think with Hawaiian I lost my screen. Is everybody still there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. So it's been having issues with it. But anyway, so what I lost my train of thought there. What I'm suggesting maybe is the Hawaiian, if you go back to when Kia first put out their cars, they were really kind of clunkers. And then when they wanted to try and get their recognition back up and be competitive again, they offered a 100,000 mile warranty on their drivetrain and cut the cost down of the cars and improved their quality. And I bought one and it was really good. I was very happy with it. And I would think that maybe as a selling device, or since Hawaiian Tel is coming in and competing now with Spectrum, that they would offer that as as an advertisement point to say, we guarantee our service and would and compensate anybody for service that they're not getting, da 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 da. And it could be, to me, just like Kia did, a selling point to their company to have an advantage over Spectrum, who is notoriously not doing that. So that's where I'm at. I'm trying to advocate for better maintenance, not necessarily getting everybody hooked up, but I want to see that too. But my side is getting the maintenance.
So Bill, I'm just on the interest of time, I just wanted to point out that we have on our hanamaui.com website, we have a page related to our broadband committee, and we do have, these are also articles that just got released in the summer edition of the Hanaside News. So people can come here and copy and paste this content as a sample letter that would go to the DCCA as incentive to have the new agreement with the DCCA include that Spectrum would give an automatic credit for that. And I mean, just for example, we have two internet connections through Spectrum at this new Hana Hub property that we're managing, and one of them along Alalele went out. The other side, well, it didn't, and it was out for a day, but that meant that our security system was down as well. And we set up a service appointment and then it came back like a day and a half later. So it's that kind of thing, that inconsistency that just happens very frequently out here in Hana. So and just for the record, I bet all of us are here who are speaking about broadband and digital equity because of a lot of the effort that Bill has put in over the years. So he's our HBC broadband advisor, and we just really appreciate everything that he's brought to the table for us. Susie, did you have a question?
Well, yeah, like just that, I don't know if you'll know anything about this or if you can just bring it up to Spectrum, that I recently tried to take an account and take away the Spectrum TV that was connected to the internet that we had at a property. And I wasn't able to do that. And the reason was that if I took out the television portion, I was going to lose the router that I have that has a higher speed than most other routers in HANA. And if you go to Spectrum now to sign on for internet, you are not going to get a good speed. They only are offering, and I'm sorry, I can't remember what it is, but it's really low. And in order for me to keep that higher quality connection, broadband, I had to keep the television service because they could not unbundle it. And it's like being held hostage, because we don't need the TV service.
Yeah. Well,
And so we're paying for this service that we don't need in order to keep the internet,
Well, you
which,
could buy a router.
yeah, but it's the service, not the router. It's the incoming service. I tried every which way with them to do this, and I absolutely couldn't do it. Because the
Well,
only way you could
I
do
think
it was
I
to
just
give up the modem that we have.
it would be interesting to hear like what the presentation is for everybody, and then we'll
Okay.
have a Q&A time. So we've got a lot of pros on the line here, so maybe we can get some additional insights on that. And then right now at the library, I think we might have a representative too from the Hawaii Library program here, but Mark has been doing teaching classes there. So I'd like Mark to just share a little bit about what he's doing. And that is also on this broadband page where you can just click to this page. So Mark, go ahead and I'll just connect over to this while you're doing it.
Sure. Those are right now they're weekly classes. We run them for 4 or 5 weeks at a time. We're just about at the end of the current one. In fact, the last class is Thursday of this week. They are very much for people who don't have a lot of experience, in some cases, no experience at all with computers. And we're just trying to help them. I think the two key words that we use with folks is to help them get comfortable and confident. So our classes are on the basics of a computer, the how to get onto the internet, how to use email, cybersecurity, helping people really spot when when they've received an email, for example, that is someone trying to scam them. And then our last two are around mobile devices. So those are coming up this week. So yeah, we're doing this. It ends up being a lot of kapuna that join us, which is great. But we're just really trying to help people who really don't have much or any experience get more comfortable with using a computer and being online. Thanks, Heidi.
Yeah, I have to say I subbed in for Mark and I did the training for three Kapuna. They were all happened to be 70 years old. 70s club. Anyway, it was great. The class was exactly the amount of time, with some repetition and just the concepts. It brought me back to my information systems classes, and it's really good refresher, like nuts and bolts basics. So it was a great class, and I think it's really important for this to be available to the community. So thank you for doing this, Mark, and helping with that. um can we just go around and do introductions now, since we have um most of our board here and a bunch of the people that are helping with this presentation, and then jump into the presentation. And so I'm just going to go ahead and if we could just pass the baton after we do a quick introduction. I'm Heidi Lea. I'm the Executive Director of the HANA Business Council and facilitate a lot of community meetings like this one in the East Maui Ready Emergency Preparedness Team leading meetings once a month, on the last Wednesday of the month. So um, I'll pass the baton to Jeannie, who's here. I see her. She jumped in one of the first, so go ahead.
Hi, aloha everyone. I'm Jeannie Skog. I'm with SR Partners, formerly known as Skog Rasmussen. Happy to be here and continue to be involved on behalf of the county in advancing broadband initiatives and accessibility and improvements. Thank you very much. So maybe Kimberly?
Yes. Aloha, everybody. Thank you for having us on a business council. And thank you to the UH team and Hawaiian Tel team for making the time for this. So I am Kimberly Thayer. I am one of the partners at SR Partners with Jeannie, and we are supporting Claudine San Nicolas Perry in the county of Maui with advancing broadband and digital opportunity initiatives across Maui County. It's very rewarding, very needed, as I'm sure you're all well aware out in East Maui. I will pass it on to Claudine.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Claudine San Nicolas Perry. I serve now as the Maui Broadband Officer, but I'm also the Maui Grant Coordinator in the Mayor's Office. Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks, Claudine. How about Sarah?
That was me saying, hey, throw me the baton, Claudine. Okay. Sarah from University of Hawaii Broadband Office. To keep it short and sweet, I will introduce the rest of our team as well. We have Susan Harai on the call, as well as Heewon Kwan. We are part of the entire outreach team where we've been visiting different islands and both virtually and in person to just share about this broadband infrastructure program that is specifically targeted at making sure that rural communities are connected with broadband. And let's see, from here, I'll take it to Jeannie.
Janine Stuckey. I'm with Hawaiian Telcomm Government Relations, and I will introduce my counterpart, Bobby Uehara. He helps with our projects, and then our presenters today will be Jason Toon and Kalani Andrade.
Great. Why don't we go to Mary? Mary, you're on mute. Oh, there you go.
There, okay. Oh, me. I thought it was all broadband people.
Oh, well,
I'm Mary Hennig. I have a nice little farm in Makalai that I dubbed Mermaid Acres, and I'm retired from my big job, and I'm a kapuna over 70 now. And is that, I mean, I don't know what you want us to.
No, that was a great introduction. Barry is a board member for the HBC. Let's see. Kamalu?
Hello, everyone. President of HANA, involved with many things, and I have many hats. I just finished my daytime job, American Job Center and Maui County Business Resource Center. So welcome, everyone. We're happy to see you. I pulled on the side of the road, so I might get cut off just a little bit going across Maliko Gulch.
Thanks, Kamalu. Dawn?
Aloha, Dawn Lono, President of the HANA Business Council and Executive Assistant to Council Member Senency.
And Gary?
Hello, hi. I'm also outside of HANA. I'm in the Maui Mall parking lot right now. Anyway, my name is Gary Chow, and I'm a resident of HANA, also on the HANA Business Council. Anyway, and yeah, just been doing this for a while. So,
All
anyway,
right.
yeah.
Well, and we've heard from Mark and Bill. Is there anyone else on the call who hasn't introduced and who'd like to introduce themselves? All right. So with that, why don't we go ahead and jump into the presentation. Kimberly, did you want to do facilitate that?
Sure. Yes. So we have here today the team from UH, Sarah kind of introduced themselves. And I guess to give a little context, maybe I can share screen a tiny bit to let you know all the broadband and digital equity programs at play within the state, to let you know where the UH team fits in. And so this is all stemming from some federal funding programs that were released actually a few years ago now. So there was a $45 billion investment. Actually, after COVID, when everybody realized, the internet is more of a necessity than a luxury. And in order for people to go to school and see their doctor and, get resources and apply for things online, everybody really needs an internet connection. And so there was funding that went to every single state to, one, do a digital equity plan which was done by DBED and the Hawaii Broadband and Digital Equity Office. And then there is also another part of this federal funding went towards infrastructure deployment, which is where the BEAD team comes in under UH. There is also a tribal broadband connectivity program and plan that is being run by DHHL, specific to their homesteads all across the state, but also deploying infrastructure and all sorts of resources to residents there. And then for the county, we are, again, kind of facilitating both of those initiatives by the Hawaii Broadband Office and by UH to build awareness and, you know, get the community involved and get the community voices out to say what resources are needed on which part of every island, understanding that every community is unique. You know, Hana is even different from Kaupo, which is different from Wailuku, Lahaina, and Lanai, etc. And so one thing we have done on our end is convene the Maui Nui Digital Equity Coalition, which is just community partners who are interested in advancing, you know, getting everybody access to computers, training, you know, the classes that Mark is doing at the library, trying to get computer rooms in more places, and just overall support and guidance. And so kind of alongside that, we are trying to help the UH team get into every community to let everyone know what kind of resources are available for spreading fiber internet connections and reliable internet service across the islands. And with that context, I will hand it over to Sarah.
Thank you for the intro. Before I share screen and get into our presentation, I wanted to just share some thoughts on both what Bill shared and also the classes that Mark mentioned. So I love that you created that template there. Bill, may I also suggest that you you have folks also send a carbon copy to the consumer advocate. The consumer advocate works underneath the DCCA director, and their office should technically forward that those letters to the CA, but sometimes, you know, things get lost. So just for extra measure, please also consider engaging the consumer advocate as a heads up on that.
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried it, but it don't work. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So secondly, on Mark's programs, at the last one you mentioned was about cybersecurity and scams and such. I'm not sure if you're aware, but I imagine if you were to contact the Office of Aging, they have some really decent handouts now that you could offer as paper supplements to your class. And I'm sure that if you contacted them, they would, you know, mail them over to you so you can have something hard copy as well for folks to read about and follow up with. I would show them to you because I just got them on Molokai the other day, but I gave them to my parents.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. We'll do that. Office of Aging.
Yeah, the Executive Office of Aging, and, you know, tell them, hey, I hear you got some nice, you know, and they're colorful, and there's like, I think DCCA also has a booklet too, but that one is more text, less colorful stuff. But Executive Office of Aging has like a nice 1-page front and back, like, you know, Medicare scam. Here's what it will say, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
Okay. So hope that helps. And oh no. Okay, here we go. Let me attempt to share. Do you see my screen? I will hit present. Yep. And please let me know if you see that. Okay. So we are the University of Hawaii Broadband Office. The reason why we're involved is just to University of Hawaii as an entity is just to make sure that the RFP and monies are adjudicated properly. We will not be owning or keeping any of it. It's pure. We're purely there to help manage the program. Okay. I will try to speed through these things to I think some of you we have spoken to before. About our program, some timeline. Our main objective, as mentioned earlier, is wired access. Not so much, not at all cellular, although if you get people off of cellular, that will increase and improve that speed. But our goal is for every resident to have the ability to subscribe to high-speed internet access, wired infrastructure in particular, minimum speed of 100 down, 20 up, without having to pay some extra amazing fee to have it run down their driveway or their perhaps long rural entryway. And in the conversation about broadband, you may hear things like first mile, middle mile, last mile. We just thought that this graphic might be helpful to sort of explain how the internet does come and which part our BEAD program is specifically addressing. The first mile would be the very big carriers, or the very big, international connection lines. The middle mile is typically going from island to island, so like the intra island, and the last mile being how it gets from a service provider, such as Hawaiian or Spectrum, to your actual home. And in most cases, in urban areas, the last mile is sort of a given. It comes out to the street and I pay an extra, or I just pay an installation fee and they hook it up. But in rural places, sometimes it can be cost prohibitive to bring it all the way down to the home. And so this program, based on COVID and based on understanding that, internet is a lifeline and that not everyone has equal access to it, that's what this program is hoping to address. The one caveat that I do have to provide here is that, as with all federal funding right now in the interesting political times we're in, things could stop tomorrow. But so far, we are aware that they like infrastructure and that they have not given us any indication that they don't want us to move forward with the build out of this infrastructure. The programming wraparound services side may be another story, but for now, we are moving forward at least with pushing forward the infrastructure portion of our funding. Here's a rough timeline of where we've been planning some more, going out for public comment, checking out the maps. Thank you, Mark and et al. For having submitted challenges during the challenge process. We did already put out an RFP after validating the map with the feds. And now we are in this process of community outreach and possibly getting close to selecting a vendor to build out connection. We were hoping to have announced already who the awardee is. However, based on federal guidance, we're hitting a 90-day pause because they think that they will be coming to us with additional information. And if we had awarded it according to our original schedule, they probably would have made us do it all over again. So we're just hitting pause. It's not unwound completely, but expect to hear something closer to August or September. A quick update on the challenge results. Now, this was, again, an effort for the community to come out and say, yes, you've got my dot right. No, my dot actually should be a different color, or my dot is not there at all. We had a total of 37,000 challenges. It sounds like a lot, but most of them actually were filed by the Telcomm saying, oh, let me help make your maps more accurate, take off water tanks and such. And in the end, the amount statewide of eligible locations is around 8,000. For context, here's what Maui Island looked like after the challenge process, and this map was published with the RFP. If we were to zoom in a little bit on other parts of Central and West Maui, and for you guys in particular, and you can see here the mountainous areas. So post-challenge location results for Hana zip code in particular are 233 that we were able to pull up based on the 96713 area code. And it amounts to roughly 30% of all Maui Island locations. So these are all locations that have been identified as eligible for BEAD, not being funded by another federal program at this time. And so we have asked in our RFP a service provider to provide an estimate of how they would reach these locations. And this is just this same map, but zoomed in a little bit more. And I'm happy to share these slides so that they can be distributed later. So this is just a quick update on what our RFP actually involves. As mentioned, we've asked internet service providers to bid to provide high-speed service, first preference for fiber. And in the case of a very high-cost location that maybe falls outside of, would break the budget, we do allow for additional type of technology such as low Earth satellite, Starlink-ish kind of thing, but the first preference is always wired fiber. So once we get the go-ahead from the feds to proceed, we will write the final proposal, which basically means we will have awarded the RFP. There will be a final map, which largely looks like the one that I shared earlier. And a build-out plan will also be articulated. And we are, again, committed to serving 100% of the locations that are identified on this final map. The build-out period, roughly, if I'm remembering, is 2026 for permitting and construction, trucks, things on the ground, 2027. And also we will, in our final proposal, have a pretty clear definition of what high cost would be. These are more just, again, going through the rough timelines, overall implications for community members, and the many ways that internet is a lifeline. And on the ground impacts, what would they feel like, look like? Although we will award the RFP, it is still going to be incumbent upon the recipient or the awardee or the contractor to go out and follow all local zoning and permitting requirements from the county. And there, I think I got you at 8.5 minutes.
Awesome. Well, and I hope that we can keep doing updates, and it's really fun to know too that Mark was pounding the pavement, and I think that there were some interesting things. Mark, do you have any comments on that process?
It was great to work with all the folks on the call. I really appreciated Sarah's team working as well as with Jeannie and Kimberly and the Maui Nui team broadly. I felt like it was actually pretty accurate data. The problem is that accurate means that there's very few people on the east side of Maui that actually have broadband that meets these requirements. I did want to say one thing I really appreciated was that just the standard spectrum broadband is not considered to be served. That's considered to be underserved. And I did appreciate that. But the main reason that we asked for this call today is to really get an idea of what the plan would be. So when I go back to folks and they put their address in, we can really get a sense for them of when they might finally see something coming. So appreciate this.
I had a couple of questions. I was just wondering, does the BEAD program actually cover, RDOF and the E-Connect one was limited to the areas that wasn't served by Spectrum. On your map, it appears that you can use the BEAD program for people in Hana that would be connected to Spectrum.
I mean, if Spectrum is serving you guys right now with microwave, that is not considered fast enough service. So yes.
Okay, so then if you got a 26, 20, I think I asked you this question before, but just to remind me, on the permitting is in 26. If right now maybe Hawaiian Tel can address it later, but does the fact that they haven't been able to get their connection, the middle mile connection finished, would that make a difference?
Great question. Don't have the answer to that particular one. As for RDOF and Connect America Fund sites, so those are still like the clock is still running on those. So those locations were not put into our data set at the moment, but if for some reason they're not able to be built to, we've got to figure out a way to come back and connect them at some point too.
Okay, so I think the next presenter is just an update from Hawaiian Tel, correct? So who's leading that? Kalani?
Yeah, we're just seeing Janine, were you going to share the deck? She's still on?
Yep, she is.
You need to unmute.
Janine's on. You should be able to just share. I'm not hearing her, but I see that Janine's unmuted.
Yeah.
It's showing her muted on my end.
No, Janine Suki.
Can you see the screen? Hello?
Not yet.
Okay.
You have to hit the share thing twice.
Okay. Can you see
There
it
it is.
now?
It's coming. Yep.
Okay. So Jason, you want me to skip back?
No, I can go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. None of this should really come as a surprise given given what's been covered so far, but we did want to recap the current state of broadband and maybe at least for everybody here, you can get it from the service provider's perspective. If both sides are aligned, both on the consumer side and the service provider side and the government side, that's actually a good thing. So it doesn't matter whether it's Hawaiian Telcomm or Spectrum. Outside of satellite, the only way you're getting broadband service today is through microwave technology. And that's extremely limited. It does not support what even current needs are for the community or even individuals. And as some of you probably know by now, if there is significant weather disruptions on Maui or between Maui and the Big Island or on the Big Island, that does interrupt your ability to communicate outside of your town. Not only is this true for broadband, it's true for landline service, whether it's Hawaiian Telcom or Spectrum or another provider. It's also true for cellular because they either go on Hawaiian Tel or Spectrum's microwave service to backhaul their signals to a different island. And in some cases, emergency services that don't rely on a regular radio connection. There are a few radio towers for public service in Maui, but for the most part, other emergency services that require broadband have to rely on one of the two service providers. So other than that, there really is no other redundancy or backup connectivity, which in this day and age, it's extremely important, especially on what happened to the island itself. And we want to make sure we point that out. At least for Hawaiian Telcom's network, this is one of our biggest areas of risk where doing any kind of restoration is significantly longer than other locations throughout the state. And I think as my UH counterpart pointed out, as well as one of the community members, none of the technologies that I just described today in the current state meet the FCC's definition of broadband. Okay, you can go ahead to the next slide, Janine. So since Sarah talked about what last mile means, and quite a few of you are pretty educated on that, we wanted to share what our last mile projects are for the island of Maui, and then also specifically for East Maui. Um, 90% of the capital investment to bring fiber to not only Maui, but the entire state is funded just with HT capital. And just a little teaser out there, a lot of the money that we spend on capital and bringing fiber and broadband to locations, we don't recoup our money for years. And it's actually well over a decade. But by the time we're done building out the whole entire state, except for East Maui, by the end of 2026, we would have spent over $45 million on Maui Island of our own money and $5 million of federally funded money through the RDOF program for the island. You'll see that there's some locations in East Maui that are covered by RDOF. Our obligation to build out there is not until the end of 2028. Everything that we're building, including for RDOF, is 100% end-to-end fiber. It's the same fiber that goes into a data center or a government building or an enterprise location. Same thing that would go into a house. But none of that is relevant. And we do have some pockets of East Maui that have fiber on the last mile piece, but it doesn't mean anything if there's no middle mile with a fiber connection. And that's a perfect segue into what Kalani's going to cover next on what's being done for the middle mile to East Maui. Go ahead, Kalani.
Thanks, Jason. I appreciate it. And yeah, and you know, key to getting broadband and taking advantage of the last mile is having that middle mile infrastructure in place. As Jason mentioned today, it's microwave. So getting that middle mile project in place to get bandwidth out to these rural locations is key. And so we had two significant projects going on. The first is a statewide project, but it includes Maui as well. So HT received some funding from NTIA as well for middle mile infrastructure. It was offered to 50 states. We were one of the few companies throughout the country that are awarded some dollars to build this middle mile infrastructure. And so we're building the Kanoa North middle mile project, and it's basically inter-island cable on the north side. It's where cable hasn't been built at any time yet. It connects all the major islands, and in particular, we're looking at two locations on Maui, potentially in Wai'ehu, as well as a landing in Hana. And these are still preliminary sites, but part of the initial observation. The funding that we were awarded was about $37 million in federal funds. We did match some of that with our own capital, with about $54 million of federal capital. So we are in the early stages of investigative research, cultural consultations with folks on island and local areas, and looking at sites that are feasible and make sense for a lot of these locations. Why we chose Hana in particular is because Hana is one of the most remote and underserved areas in the state. And so having a diverse path into Maui is going to be key for future growth, connectivity, economic development, and things like that you guys are well aware of, and we'll get to a little further into the next slides. But it's a key location and considered very unserved. And so it was key for us to try and bring some of that connectivity to East Maui. That is in the early phases of the design at this point and cultural consultations. And we're expecting this cable system to be in service and complete in 2028.
Kalani, this is Mark, real quick, if I could ask a question.
Yes.
If I look at your map here, the red line over on the right, on the east side connecting into Hana, looks like that's part of your middle mile structure?
Yes, and I apologize. And we have other slides that we can share with the group as well with the entire build. So from Hana, it's going to connect into Kohala. So anytime East Maui is isolated with landslides or damages that you've seen in the past, heavy rains or things like that, any traffic within Hana or East Maui can route out to Kohala and back to the main island of Maui, Oahu, and still process calls and data that way. So it provides some great diversity and resiliency to that East Maui community out there.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, sure.
Is there a possibility you could provide us with? I've been asked a lot of times about the future plans, and I don't have any, overall pictures of the islands and showing where all of the future. The ones I've gotten are online, like I'm looking at now, but I haven't had anything in print. I was wondering if you could email me over a print of all of the different future connections.
Yep, we can provide it updated. I think we have a high level sheet and some details on some locations for the entire spread and locations on each island. So we can share that with you as well. We can get that done.
Thanks.
Okay. Anything else on NTIA? And there'll be another chance to ask questions when we finish up our slides. Let me jump to another key project that we're looking at. And again, this is to get connectivity and middle mile infrastructure out to Hana. So we're looking at building a south route. It's what we call closing the gap, right? We have connectivity up to Kula, and we also have connectivity from Kaupo to Hana, but there's a huge gap in between. And so by building this gap, I think it's basically from Kanaio to Kaupo, will provide another path of terrestrial cable into East Maui. There's been some challenges with the permitting and getting this thing built. We've been trying to work on this project for several years. And one of the things that's been difficult is the permitting and identifying what those requirements are. So we've been working with the county for the last several years trying to identify a route that's most feasible to complete this build. Some of the challenges that we've run into is our SMA issues, and so redesigning the route to accommodate some of those things. The most efficient way for us to build this is getting a pole line built and infrastructure out there. So some challenges and some resistance with building an infrastructure via pole lines and things like that. So we're trying to address and share some of that information with folks going forward. Essentially, it's been a rough road, but it's an important key piece that will help support last mile, again, broadband infrastructure into East Maui. I think I saw a message from Dawn. Some of the permitting challenges, and I think that's her question. Let's scroll down. Let's see, saw it flash up, but there's a few areas that have. I think one of the things identifying the SMA, right? There were some adjustments from the county on Maui SMA that we worked on and made some adjustments to our design. And another challenging part of this build is that the road is considered a road in limbo. And that's very rare. And it's only in a few islands where I think the county maintains and manages the road, but there's no real ownership for the land beneath the road. And so I think there's a couple sections on Maui and the Big Island that kind of fall in this pocket. So trying to work through those things. I mean, initially we wanted to work directly with the county because we could build within the right of way and do some of that structural progress or permitting within the right of way. But it turned out to be a little challenging. So we're looking to move a little further off the right of way into private easements in some locations and things like that. So that's just one of the few challenges. Identifying the permitting requirements and the triggers for each area has also been a challenge as well. So we're continuing to work through that process and try and get this thing moving along. So this project, again, is in the surveying phase for redesign engineering. Our target is we wanted to get this thing surveyed and permitted by the end of the year and start build sometime in the first quarter of 2026. But that all depends on getting permits and identifying the requirements at this time. Any questions on this piece of it?
Kalani, this
Yes.
is Heidi. So I have another hat.
Okay.
It's a roving reporter. I'm the editor of the Homicide News.
Okay.
And if there's any articles that would be good coming from Hawaiian Tel that you would like to put our deadlines, like we have a summer edition, which comes out August 1st. So content by July 1st. And so that will be the fall edition. And then we also have the winter edition. So, I know a lot of this is just getting information to the local community to, kind of help build understanding of what's going on, and I just see information potential right now that would be really great to be sharing.
No, I agree. I think that's key, right? Is if the folks that have the need to, assist, and that's what we're looking for, is to drive some of the change or assistance, because there's a need. You guys are aware, you live there, you know what the need is, and so to try and get that support from the community and work its way up will be very helpful for us as well. So we'll definitely take you up on that offer. We appreciate it, and it'd be I think a positive thing to try and get the information out there, educate folks. There's a lot of questions that come up with building infrastructure and things like that I think really can be resolved with just education and getting the basic information out there to the folks, and being open about it. So appreciate that, Heidi.
Yeah, I put the editor at Homicide News email in the chat, and the Homicide News website has information on the different issue deadlines and such.
Got it.
Okay.
Would there be anything that would help if the community over here were to let the county know how important it is for us to get our services up, and that might help them move it along a little faster?
I agree. I think that's 100% accurate, and it will definitely be supportive, right? I think getting letters of support, or voicing our need for the requirement out there is definitely going to help, Bill. So we're definitely probably going to reach out to some of you key folks in there to help support and get some of that information, so we can move on with some of this build and get the permitting done. I think that's definitely the next steps, right? We've been working on this thing, so reaching out and getting the additional support on this will be helpful.
May I ask, what is the main holdup? And actually, Don had the same question in the chat that has been particularly challenging with the permitting.
Yeah, so when we first went out there was no right of way, so we did the right of way, and then they adjusted the SMA, and so I think folks have been hesitant to build a pole line in an area that doesn't have a pole line today. But I think a lot of it has to do with a lot of turnover as well. We worked with several planners from the county and things like that, and I think that's kind of stable now. So reaching out to them and kind of getting this back on focus with them is going to be helpful. But it's just understanding what the permits are and what kind of requirements are needed for the different areas. There are some areas that we've avoided just in our designs to make sure that we didn't impede on any cultural issues or areas that were sensitive. And so just going through that step by step and understanding it, it'd be helpful if we knew some of those things up front, but I don't think there's a lot of information that was provided ahead of time. So we have to go through this design engineering process, submit, kick back, resolve, commit, kind of thing, and it's been a challenge. So just the permitting process and understanding the requirements have been tough.
Yeah, Sarah, one of the things we can do is, if you want, we can have a sit down with the broadband office, Garrett, and kind of explain in more detail the meetings that we've had with Maui County, and explain to you what's been communicated to us.
Okay. No, I'm just sort of curious, because once we award our RFP, the contractor there will probably run into the same issues, and so I'd love to get it. Plus, we also have a rep from Maui County on the call as well, and she's stationed in the mayor's office. So, okay, sounds good. Thanks. I'll follow up.
So Kamalu had another chat comment in here. I think some of the concerns are wires that were installed are not being maintained. Poles are shared and some are too far apart. Just wondering how this can be addressed where there are broadband lines.
Yeah, so let's see. So part of that deal is, most of the infrastructure coming in from Maui is on the north side, along Hana Road, difficult terrain, things like that. And so we feel that coming in the south side is a lot easier for access and maintenance, right? This goes into what Bill was saying in the beginning for letters of support for maintenance, having access the pole line, and maintenance is going to be a lot simpler on the south side. And I think that's part of it. I think we use self-sustaining infrastructure today. Fiber optic cable that we plan to put is probably about an inch in diameter at the most. Self-supporting structure, and so it can run and span a lot further than older cable could. It's a lot lighter than copper cable in the past. So, within the inch diameter of cable, you can run 288 strands of fiber, whatever it is. It's much more efficient. It's cleaner. It's a lot lighter and more eco-friendly, and it allows you to run further spans. There are some challenges, as you're aware, in the Kaupo area and some of these areas, the gulch that have long spans. So we've kind of designed around those to avoid some of the washouts and things in those areas.
I would think that what we were referring to though is mainly actually in Hana. And I've sent pictures over to Dan, and I recently sent some over to what's her name, Janine. And it looked to me like that the cables that were put in were not installed either properly, or the cables used weren't as high quality, because the cables themselves, they seem to have had we call a galvanized wire supporting cable that snapped a lot of them, and the wires are wired up to the poles, and the lines are laying on the ground, and they'd actually mowed over them. And that is just outside of Hana, only about 100 yards. So it's an issue that everybody in town looks at and goes, geez, is this what we're going to look forward to with Hawaiian Tel after dealing with Spectrum? So I think that's pretty much a sore spot for the locals when they look at that. I don't know. I talked to Dan about it briefly, but nobody's told me exactly what went on. But I was sort of, not knowing. I was kind of wonders, like, what I know they brought in California installers, and maybe they put in a inferior product, or they didn't do it right, or what. But it shouldn't have been in the condition it was in, as we see it, within 2 years. I mean, just being honest.
Yeah, Bill, that's a fair statement. I'll answer that for you and the rest of the community. We need to do quite a bit of extensive vegetation trimming as well as pole replacements. And typically when we do that in other areas where we have infrastructure that's been degrading for years, we do all the work at once so that we're minimizing the impact to the community. So when we go out and place our fiber cables, and by the way, we don't use that other contractor anymore. We've done one that has done work extensively in rural areas. We're going to take a completely different approach. As far as the pictures that you sent, I've already asked Janine to follow up with you to get where those exact locations are so we can address it.
Well, they have come back and sort of jerry-rigged them back up a bit. But, to me, it looks like almost they're going to have to just change out the cables and put in a better product or something. And it's unfortunate. I think that whoever put them in to begin with should be sued, because it's just not right. I hope you are, doing something about the company that installed them.
So Susie also mentioned in the chat that the lines in Makalai, I think those of us that spent a lot of time in that area there were Christmas ornaments hanging from them and all sorts of stuff. It was so close to the ground for a really long time, which was very dangerous, and it went on for a long time. But I guess, I know that I want to kind of wrap up the broadband conversation so that we can finish other pieces of the meeting. And I just wanted to extend, there's another meeting that we hold on a monthly basis here in East Maui called Ho'omaukaukau Maui Hikina. It's East Maui Ready. It's our emergency preparedness leadership meeting. And when the project is underway, or if there's, this is really about community safety and, really preparing our community with communications and whatnot, having a person who would, want to pop in on a monthly basis, give updates, any kind of community outreach that you would want to have us share, like for the monthly announcement to our East Maui Ready mailing lists. I think that these are the kind of things that, if you're hiring workers in East Maui, if there, any things that you would need for any of the projects from coming from UH or Hawaiian Tel or any of the things that are happening, we really are wanting to ensure that our community is informed and able to support things happening in a way that's maintained and sustainable. So, are there any final things that others wanted to share?
One thing I would like to ask is there anybody in the county planning department or something like that that would be, if we were to, work with them to maybe speed that side of the issue, the situation up on their side that we would communicate with, or would it be better just to do it as a general write-in to the county? I mean, who would you want to have the community approach? I guess would be the question. That would be of both benefit. We get the product, get the lines completed to that last middle mile that seems to be hung up on the permitting side.
I'll let Janine correct me if I'm wrong. But the two people is Jordan and Kate.
Jordan Molina.
Kate Lystone.
Yeah.
Does this have anything to do with Shifty and cultural issues as you install the poles? Has that been addressed?
There is a part that will have to go through DLNR, but the part that we're experiencing the changes with have happened to be with the county currently. So we're working with the other agencies. So far, we haven't gotten to Shifty yet. We're still doing more, everything's kind of step by step. So we're doing some work on the SMA concerns first, and then we'll have to move on to the other agencies next. But we can, as we make progress, we can touch back, especially with Don and Bill. I know you have a subcommittee, a broadband subcommittee, so we can, keep you all updated. And I think that we can be more targeted and sort of point everyone in whatever direction would be most helpful. If that works for you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to invite Claudine to say a couple of words from the county perspective as well, because I know that you're kind of in a new position and we're excited to have you helping.
Thank you. I know that Hawaiian Telcomm has met with the mayor, with Mayor Bissett early on regarding the placement of their project, and there's been some discussion about, what the route would be, and I wasn't privy to that. I wasn't the broadband officer. I have offered, or I got the briefing just this past Saturday about what some of the specifics are. And I've offered an opportunity, when Hawaiian Tel is ready to come back to the mayor, update them. I'm not the person regarding permitting, but for those of you who follow the county, permitting is a big issue. And I'm not saying it's an excuse, but there are a lot of issues in front of the permitting department. I wanted to make it be sure, because I see Kamalo. Is it Jordan Molina at Public Works? Because I'm not aware that it is? Okay. So was Jordan Molina in your original meeting as well?
He was, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it was
So
Jordan, Kate, your predecessor, Jolie,
yeah, okay.
myself, Dan, the mayor, and our president.
Okay, all right. So what I'd like to offer is what I said to Janine on Saturday, and that is, to provide another update and see what we can do regarding permitting. But it is a process, and there's a lot of people applying for permits. We get this that you're different, special in terms of what you're trying to do. But that is what that is what I can say today, is to try to let's try to get together and have an update on where we're at. I think that's the best I can offer today, because it isn't my department, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I am with the county. So, and I was everyone, can say what they say. In terms of the public, it is a process. And if and when we have to do public hearings, that to me is your opportunity to speak up. Calling them, I'm not so sure. I think coming, and as the broadband officer now, I can say that we will let you know through Heidi or Don Lodo, the president, to say, hey, we're having this meeting regarding Hawaiian Telcomm. I'm talking about the permitting process.
Mhm.
If and when that gets, thank you, Kim, to nod. I think I've got the process correct. Because is it okay if I out you? I mean, Kim chairs the Maui Planning Commission. It's a very small community. So she may understand the process better than me. But when we are processing permits like this one, and just to tell you guys, I too am involved in a grant for Haiku Fire Station. And I just recently learned it's going to take us, and we're the county, to build a Haiku Fire Station. It's going to take us a year to get a permit, to get the necessary approvals. It is what the ordinances require. And I'm not saying that that's what's happening with Hawaiian Tel. I actually don't know the specifics of that. But I do know that permitting takes time. And that there was an informal meeting, as I understand it. Please correct me, Jason and Janine, that there was a discussion about the placement and that we would come back and do an update. The Hawaiian Telcomm and Maui County would talk about what can we do to move this project forward. It is important to us. We're aware of it. There's a permitting issue, so I should be quiet now. Kim, is there anything you can add to that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess just to say, yes, the SMA major process is long, because I'm sure you guys are aware, it goes through public hearing and everything, and that would be where the community would play a big role in showing support for projects. Because anytime you have community support for a project, it makes the decision making really easy on the part of the commission. But as commissioners, we're not involved in how, the department processes applications. But I would hope that they would support this type of infrastructure installation, especially when it's, really a lifeline for the community, like to have the redundancy. Like, I cannot imagine being out there when a disaster hits and then you're, cut off from the whole world in so many ways, like literally and figuratively. And so, yeah, I don't know what I can do as a commissioner necessarily, but I can, make the director aware that there is this project going on and trying to get moving. But I would defer to Claudine on, trying to schedule a meeting with the mayor.
Yes,
I have a question. This is Dawn.
Sure.
So has this been determined to be an SMA major permit requirement?
No, not at this time. It's not a major. I think it's just outside of a major, minor,
It
or whatever.
could potentially be a minor.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, and, if there's anything that we can do from council members' office, to write some letters or just reach out to me. I mean, I've worked with several of you on this call before, and you know my email address, and let me know if there's any way that we can assist from our office, please.
Thank you, Don. If I may just add one more thing to Hawaiian Telcom aside from the meeting is the first thing after this meeting is I will take I even took some screenshots and I am taking notes, and I can pledge that I'll get it to our chief of staff, which is my direct supervisor, who is in constant contact with the mayor, and so that we're aware as well. But thank you everyone for your questions.
I have one question. That's when did this project start? Because I think it's been close to like 3 or 4 years now, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. You're about right, Bill.
Do you remember the actual date it started? That might be good as a reference.
Yeah, I have that documented somewhere that we can share with you with the entire process, step by step, from our engineering firm as well. So I can provide that.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see that too. If you could email it to me, I'll put my email in the chat.
Get that. Yeah, we're working with local engineering and consultation firms, so Boston Satsumi and Mauna Kea Horaga, so they're pretty familiar with a lot of the requirements and the information and having, close ties into this. And so we're trying to keep it and get as much local input as we can. So I will share that information with you guys.
So basically, though, the main issue that's holding you up right now that would keep you from actually giving a specific schedule is the fact that you haven't got the permitting, and some of that is due to the fact that the property itself isn't necessarily county property that the road is on, and in general, permitting issues are the main reason. Is that correct?
That was part of it. Yeah, I mean, we're working with DPW and Jordan's group because we're within the county right away. And since that kind of road was identified in a limbo, no one would really want to take the lead on approving or reviewing permits. So we're in the phase of redesigning outside of the county right away into private easements in a lot of the areas, and well without and outside of the estimate as well.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I need to correct myself too. Earlier, I said it's a minor. This is a major, just because of the amount of the build.
Oh, because of the cost of the project, it
Yes.
throws it into a major.
Yes.
Oh, how can we fudge that to make that work better?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, you guys didn't hear me say that. That is
yeah. Catch it to the fence or something. Yeah, no, I think that's
okay.
I'll scrub that off the video.
No, Don, the interesting. Go ahead.
No, I understand now. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, because the length of the cable that we need to run is so long and the number of poles, that's what makes the project major. But if you segregate it to, okay, how much money are we spending just within the SMA? It's a minor. But the way that it's been communicated to us and our understanding is you can't just piece that one SMA part out. You have to do the whole, you have to do the whole thing.
Well, what about a landing station would cost you more than 500K anyway, though, right? Do you guys have to put in a new one with your middle mile going there?
We plan to use existing office there in Hana.
Yeah. We're not building any new buildings in East Maui.
Yeah. In that cable that's coming underwater from the Big Island and coming up and just by that Koki outlet there, is that going to be what's involved actually when it comes out of the water? Because I know I was discussing that earlier with Janine and Dawn about, if it comes out of the ocean there, what's going to be the impact on that landing site? Is it going to be a structure there, or is it just going to be the cable comes up and goes over to the connection where your dishes are now and continues on that easement, or is it going to go underground, through there because it's a scenic area? Can you give a little description of what that impact would be?
Sure. I think the impact initially during the construction phase will be, some construction equipment, limited access to the area. But essentially, we're done. It'll just be a manhole like you see anywhere else, right? We bore an offset. We dig underneath the reef, everything out, and we come up into a flat sandy area that has been predetermined. We do all the cultural studies, offshore studies as well. I think you're in between 90 to 150 feet, depending on the area. And so all that's done and determined as part of the desktop study. But once we bore that pipe, the pipe is laid, and the cable's pulled up, it'd just be a lid on a manhole, and that's all you'll see.
And then that goes underground to the where.
Yeah, we're going to build it and run it underground to our nearest infrastructure that already exists, and then tie it back into our central office in Hana that way.
All right. Oh, that's under the reefs. That's unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's yeah.
you can fix the fish pond at the same time, right there.
We've done things like that in the past. So, I think we have a lot of volunteers here that would love to come out to Hana and work on the fish pond. I would love to do that. Yeah.
I think the tsunami took that one out a while ago, so it needs some help. All right. Well, I really, really appreciate all the information and questions, and I know it's just the beginning or the middle of the long road. So we really appreciate everybody's input, and this is recorded, so I can share this with this group so you have that information. Claudine, I see you nodding just to be helpful. And anyway, yeah, we have a few other items on our agenda that we have to deal with on different things, like the upcoming graduation ceremony with the seniors and our scholarship and a few things like that. So you are welcome to stay online, but you are welcome to also drop off, and we'll loop another thing like this in the future when we have more information to bring together for the community.
Perfect. We appreciate you guys giving us the time and providing us the support. That's awesome. And so we definitely we'll circle back with you and the points of contact you provided and use it to our advantage when we can. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for you guys' time. We really appreciate it.
Mahalo.
Aloha.
Thank you. Heidi, can you share your email address, or should I just send it to that other one that you put in?
Oh, yeah, it's yeah, I'll just put it in the chat too. You can just do it to the HBC at Hana Business Council.com. Oh, that's do it to everybody here.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank
Aloha.
you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, let me share my screen back to the agenda.
Okay. Do we have a quorum?
We do.
Of board members?
Yes.
Currently?
Yes.
I'm going to bail out, but hey, Susie, I just wanted to tell you, I just got through disconnecting my television and kept my internet. So you give me a call and I'll tell you how you do it. Okay.
Bill the Wizard. Thank you, Bill.
All right, gang. Have a good one.
Thanks, Bill.
Take care.
Okay. So
So could we go through the attendees? Yeah, I see Susie and Mary and Gary.
And Grace.
Myself.
And
Oh,
Mary.
Grace. Okay,
and Mark.
I'm not seeing them.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And Kamalu. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you. It's important for us to acknowledge that and document that we have a quorum of board members to make decisions.
Okay, so knowing that we only have a few minutes, when I would like to propose that we would people be willing to schedule another meeting next week to go over the other agenda items? A lot of them are like the financials and grant reporting, updates like that. I think the one thing that we have to cover tonight is the Drayden Kindness Scholarship application. But other than that, there isn't anything that's imminently due.
I would be agreeable to rescheduling a meeting to next week to address those other items on our agenda if the board is available.
I'm agree with that. I agree.
Okay. Then I will go ahead and send a meeting out, again, an invite for that. And then, and I'll link to the agenda. So, Dawn, do you want to talk about the scholarship? I created a page for Melania.
Well, no, I didn't actually see her her application till just this moment when you put it up, but I have to acknowledge that I saw that she was graduating and I approached her and asked her if she would be interested in putting in an application for the Drayden Kindness Scholarship Fund. And that was because I've seen the work that she's done. She showed up at the budget hearings. She testified in front of the budget committee and the council and wrote letters of support for our parks and just very impressive work that she's done as a student from Hana High. So I just felt like she would be worthy. And then I didn't even think of it until I got a graduation announcement from her parents. And then I talked to her and said, "Oh, what are your plans?" And she said, "Oh, I'm going to be going to Pepperdine University." And I was like, okay. So I just felt like it was worthy of consideration to offer her scholarship, and I sent her the application. So what you are seeing now is her application.
I went through it. She fulfilled all the requirements of the application, which is providing her transcript. She has a 4.154 GPA. It's just stellar.
Yes.
And she has 2 letters of recommendation from Gina Sansone and Jonna Wilkinson. And then she also explains, why she feels she's a good candidate. Definitely everything Dawn was mentioning, very hardworking and civic minded, and it would help her family. And she loved Drayden. And the other part here is that she definitely is someone who wants to bring it back to East Maui.
Yes. Yes.
So she wrote a lot about that. I don't know if you guys are able to access the link, but you should be able to open this page up if you wanted to look more at it. But otherwise, we didn't have any other applicants, so I'm not sure what happened at the registrar with Gina, because there were these 2 scholarships that don't have too much of a barrier to access. So I think it's great, Dawn, that you did approach her. Any other thoughts or comments?
Well, the only thing that I didn't discuss with her and that is not addressed in here is the amount of the scholarship. So if we were to consider her for a scholarship, we would have to determine what amount would be considered. So that's the other.
Well, we had 2 scholarships available for $13.50 each, and then,
Right.
and then Sean Storm said that he would do a matching donation, and he's traveling right now, but so then it would be 27 or
Yeah, but that
right.
doesn't have anything to do with us, so we can't
Yeah.
present that on his behalf.
Right.
So we just have to present what's on our behalf.
Okay.
So if we're presenting 1350, the other option would be to put those together since we only have one applicant and merge that into one scholarship. So that's another option.
I would really support that because Dawn expressed that she wanted to just not get rid of it, but like end this scholarship funds that she had originally created for or HBC, Dawn, and because Drayden's class already graduated and then we have the leftover monies. Well, that's what I got from the last meeting we when we talked about it. Unless Sean writes a check to HBC, and then you folks, I mean, HBC can cut the check for the matching funds as one, because then technically it was donated to HBC and the drain-in fund.
Yeah, that was not his intention. His intention was to do a match. So as far as my understanding is he is not going to run that through the HBC, but I could be wrong. So we could reach out to him about that.
Yeah.
But regarding this scholarship, we can determine the amount since we only have one scholarship, and I would be glad to present that on behalf of the Lono Kaino Ohana at the graduation if and when we determine that this is appropriate.
Other thoughts?
This
Or-
is
yeah.
Grace. I just have a question. Is there a chance, because graduation is what,
Next
2
week.
weeks away? Oh, it's next week already. Okay. So basically, there is nobody else that is applying. So in that sense, we could give it all to her if we want to just end that scholarship fund.
Well,
right?
the deadline was actually May 1st. So yeah, I mean,
And that amount would not end the scholarship.
Oh,
From what I'm seeing. I mean, you have it up, right, on the screen?
yes.
Okay, so the balance is 2,700. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. But we are holding, are we still holding?
Yeah, we're holding FAAs,
Okay.
$2,500.
Okay. So we're holding FAAs, and I guess I need to follow up with him because it's been 2 years now. So
Well, it will be 2 years in October.
I see that. But
Yeah.
let's do what we'd like to propose to give Meleana the 2,700. I'll entertain a motion to that if someone wants to. Otherwise, make a motion to offer her the 1,350.
So what is the amount not including FAAs? Because a missionary's mission is usually 2 years.
Yeah, it's
That's-
2,700
okay.
is our total. So that's why
Okay,
we had,
thank you.
yeah.
I just got confused.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion
To what?
to award Meliana the 2,700.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Who is that?
Susie.
Susie.
Susie. Thank you, Susie. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Yes, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Well, that is beautiful. And I think she is very worthy. And I've worked with her a little bit through the last couple of years. And I find her to be a very intelligent, respectful, community-oriented, mindful human being. And boy, if we can get her to come back to our community and continue, that would just be awesome. So I'm very grateful. Thank you for passing this motion to award her the scholarship.
And so sorry, you guys, but I have to get off the call.
All right. Thank you, Susie. I'll send out the meeting invite for next week, and that was the main thing. You did your duty for
Thank you
this.
very much, guys. Yeah, I'll be good with a meeting next week.
Okay. Dawn, do we want to just award this like at the graduation, or did you want to inform her in advance?
I would like to award her at the graduation, kind of a surprise, and makes it like a little more fun and interesting. And then it will be the same conditions that we've had in the past. We do not write the check to her or her family. We write it to the expenses for her education. So directly to the university or, an expense associated with that. So those conditions apply.
Okay. I think we have the congratulation, awarded winner type things, letters from the past. I can point you to that too, Dawn. And And then however you would like to do a certificate, we can talk about that.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay.
I'm excited. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah. Okay, so then we'll continue on with everything else next week. And yeah, let's close this meeting unless there's anything else that folks have to say.
I'm done.
Okay, let's just take a couple breaths together. Hanu iloko, hanu iwaho, hanu iloko, hanu iwaho. As I'm breathing in, I'm thinking how much you guys rock, and thank you for pulling this all together this evening. Mahalo, everyone. Have a good night. We'll see you again soon.
Okay.
Mahalo, Heidi, for everything you do. Appreciate it.
Good night.
Good night, all. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Aloha.